Oh, that's good. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
We are live streaming, and one more step to this being recording here with Bob Tassone with Port Financial and Port Insurance as we jump into another Wednesday morning here at the end of August in 2023. Bob, thank you for joining me here so we can share news, knowledge, information about real estate and insurance and how it affects people out there in the world. So today you're gonna continue really addressing the concern of risk and
Yeah.
how do you deal with risk?
Yeah. Everybody has to deal with risk, and the insurance company has to deal with it too.
Yep, that right.
And so that I want to, we last week we talked about how we as individuals deal with risk, but how does the insurance company deal with risk?
Right.
You know, because the way that the insurance company deals with risk affects how much you pay for the policy, whatever kind
Absolutely,
of
gotta be
policy it
accounted
is.
for.
Yeah. And so if you understand how they look at risk, maybe you can save some money on your premium. So that's what I was going to, point out today.
Absolutely. So I mean, there's a number of ways to look at that because there's risk to the type of property you might own. There's risk to the location for that property. Every aspect, and there's so many layers of where that risk originates from, where it comes from, what it means. These are things that have to be accounted for in the business, right? So
Yeah.
take it away, man.
Yep. Okay. Well, anyway, this is not, I'm going to share my screen for just a minute. This is not an internet hoax. This is real. That's Maui. And that house was built to be fire resistant.
Dang.
Now we have houses on the Gulf Coast that are built to be hurricane resistant. And there are houses down there that are designed to withstand 200 plus mile per hour winds.
Yeah.
This one was designed to withstand fire. It has a metal roof. It has a composite siding that is fire resistant. And there was no vegetation around the house. And so these are things that you can think about. I mean, it may be impractical for us to do what this person did there. Places like California, it's more practical because the risk is greater. But think about the things like, if you have bushes close to your house, and why is that important? The reason all these houses burned, everything burned in Maui is because of embers.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like the flame just jumps from one house to another. That's not how it works. When something is on fire, the embers go up into the air and then they land on something else that's flammable.
That's combustible and flammable, right?
Yeah, and then it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. You get enough of them on there, and it gets hot enough to start burning.
Yep.
So
Fire is a devastating thing, and storms are devastating, and this is just a very striking, stark image.
So I'm going to start. We don't anyway. You don't. The things that you can do is to keep the area around your house as neat as possible, and not have combustible things around it. Because if there was a fire and something lands on it, and it's next to your house, that can cause it to be set on fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, I mean, some places that we live, it's impractical to clear all the trees out around your house, but the more that you can do to control anything that's combustible around your house, the better.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there are people that are doing metal roofs nowadays, but I don't know if the cost of it is justifiable from a fire prevention standpoint. But anyway, that goes into the pricing. So let's talk about that part of it first.
Yeah, absolutely.
The age of your house, the design of your house, the reconstruction cost of your house, all have to do with how much the insurance will cost to insure your house. And so a thing like a gable roof is more expensive than a hip roof, slightly more. And that's because the wind can get up underneath the gables and lift the top off the house. Now that's more important in places that are tornado prone, like Tornado Alley. There would probably be a large difference in the pricing with a hip roof versus a gable roof. And I don't know if you understand what a gable roof is, just like this, right?
Yeah, it's got that.
A hip roof
I don't have any visuals here.
comes down. I should have visual of this, but a hip roof is where the sides come down on all four sides, and there's less of an undercarriage to pick up that roof off the house. Some houses are combination gable and hip.
See,
I mean, it's around here, a gable roof is much more common. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, there we go. See, I'm sharing. You can see that. I mean, these are gable designs, and then you kind of just look at hip roof.
Yeah. And so there's your
Get a little bit more of a
roof. Yeah, that's right. So now you know what we're talking about. So that would be a combination. You have gable aspects, but mostly hip.
Stop sharing. Okay.
So all of these things matter. The age of your house, the materials that are used. I mean, a brick house generally is a favorable thing from an insurance standpoint, because embers that land on bricks do not get caught on fire. We learned that with the big bad wolf, right?
Right. Construction design, all kinds of things are parts of that factor, right? Absolutely.
So anyway, so that's the striking thing, but the biggest thing around here that affects the rate is the location. And why is the location important? Because around here we have water exposure, which means wind exposure.
Right.
There's nothing to break the wind if you're right on the bay or on the coast. And so we have a storm out there now in Florida, and it could come up the coast. If that was to happen, coastal areas are going to be affected more than inland areas, and even a little bit inland, where you're protected from the wind coming straight down the river or down the bay, the damage is not going to be as much.
Right.
But the thing that's going to damage your house if there's wind is trees falling over on it.
Which is, a lot of the damage that happens in these storms isn't so much something that happens where the roof gets lifted off, and that can happen, of course, but it's something falling on a home. And typically
that's where it happens more around here. I mean, you can have the wind blow shingles off your house or blow the siding off your house.
That's easy to fix.
But it takes a real tornado to obliterate a house.
Yeah,
and I've seen that. We saw that in Gloucester about.
That's right, a few years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it took out houses totally.
Deltaville.
It took out a school completely.
Yeah. Thank goodness nobody was there.
Yeah. It was on a Sunday night. So that was a good time for it, when nobody was in the building, but still, if there were kids in that building, it would have been a mess. Let me tell you, it would have been.
Right. Of course, it's impossible to build against every form of risk. I mean, there's costs that are limitations in some elements, in some regards, to what you build and what kind of a home that you're going to be able to afford to buy or afford to build. And of course, if budgets and money was not a factor and it was unlimited, then you could certainly design those things away. You could build a bomb shelter of a house, basically, that had all the niceties and the amenities that you want. It would be, completely free from risk of damage from storms and so forth. But that would be extremely expensive to build. So short of that, that's why we have insurance. And insurance has to be. But
there are things that you can do. When Bob goes to talk to John about buying a house, and John starts showing me houses to look at, the things to consider are the location. If it's right on the water, that may be desirable, but your insurance rate is going to be higher.
Exactly. The things that we want often are more expensive.
How is the house built? You could have two houses in a similar neighborhood, similar houses, but one is brick, one is vinyl. The brick one would probably be a little less expensive to insure. And then the things that you do personally. How is your credit? Because people that have good credit usually take better care of their homes as well. If they take care of their credit, they take care of their homes. And so the rate is less if you have good credit. Are you married?
Oh,
Married people tend to be more responsible than unmarried people. I mean, it
it's just
doesn't make a
easier to take care of
large
life.
difference,
Yep.
but it is, I mean, they'll ask you, are you married? And that can affect your rate. And then the thing that we've talked about recently on this channel is, have you had claims? People that have claims tend to have more claims. People operate in patterns.
Yeah.
And so anything that you can do to avoid having a claim can save you on your premium over time.
And of course, that doesn't mean you shouldn't talk to your insurance agent to determine what's the best course of action if you have a damage to your home.
Oh,
It
yeah.
may, however, be less costly if you've got a minor issue with your house or a minor, repair that happened as a result of something. You may want to report that if it's a major claim. You may not be able to handle it
You're
financially.
gonna have to. I mean, I have, if it's something major happens and people call me and sometimes they say, I'm so sorry, but I mean, that's what it's there for. That's why
That's
you
what it's
have
there for.
insurance.
Right.
And sometimes you need to make a claim, but don't make a frivolous claim if you can avoid it.
Right.
That's
And that's what I'm trying to get to, is that there are, you may have something that was fairly minor. Don't make the knee-jerk reaction that you have to report this claim, because it's, you may find that it's easier or less expensive to, take care of that repair on your own. Ask your insurance provider, ask Bob, call Bob. Bob, you can help guide
Right,
people
call
in the
me.
right decision.
Yes, call me.
And I think that's something I really want people to understand, is that you're here to help people feel comfortable and confident in their choices. And you're not here to scare them about risk. Risk is very real. And you understand it with a lifetime of experience with, providing insurance coverages for folks and walking them through claims and walking through all these different scenarios. You've lived through, these different scenarios yourself, I'm sure. Being as you lived in Deltaville at one point in time, in Middlesex County, at least, and now, here you live in Williamsburg, and you help people with insurance provision for their life to help them all over the region here. You don't just fixate just on this one area, but you have a knowledge and understanding of this market area and how it affects people.
And the thing to understand about insurance is that insurance companies rate things based on the law of large numbers. And so they apply all of these statistics and things to the rate. That's how underwriting works. If it wasn't for that, if they didn't discriminate in some way, and I'm not using the word discriminate in the way that you hear about it all the time, maybe in a racist or sexist way, but they do discriminate by favoring a brick home over a vinyl sided home, or a new home versus an older home, or a home that is inland versus one that's on the coast.
Right.
They will discriminate in favor of one over the other, because statistically, the chance of them having to pay a claim is less with one versus the other.
So they're making their own risk assessment in the
Yes,
underwriting process of
that's
who
right.
they
So that
insure and how it's
the
insured.
risk that they have affects the rate that you pay.
Yeah. Yep. All valuable information. Well, Bob, I want to allow you to get back to your important things that you got to do today. I've got home inspection stuff that I've still got to take care of, and some real estate negotiations that are going on. So got to get back to that as well. This is information. It's meant to be informational, educational for folks out there in the world, and helping them make smart decisions when it comes to insurance and minimizing risk. And also that applies to real estate. It applies to all areas of life, but certainly where we're focused on is, the risks associated with real estate, home ownership, whether you're an investor or a homeowner or a potential home buyer, or maybe you're renting as well. There's insurance coverages that can help you so that you are safe and protected. Bob with Port Insurance here is here to help you with that. All your contact information should be in the link in the page, in the description on the page. Bob, it's great talking to you, and we will certainly continue these conversations again in a future time.
Thanks, John. Have a great
All right,
day.
have a great day. Bye.
Take care.